Imagine being told that your name is too strange, your background is too unusual, your dreams are too big, and that someone like you could never lead the most powerful nation on earth. Now imagine proving every single one of those people wrong. This is the story of a man who grew up searching for his identity, battled doubt and criticism throughout his life, and ultimately became the first African-American president of the United States. A man whose journey inspired millions and divided opinions at the same time. Some saw him as a transformational leader. Others saw him as a controversial politician. But regardless of where people stood, one thing was undeniable. Barack Obama changed America, and this is the incredible story of how it happened. Barack Hussein Obama II was born on August 4, 1961, in Honolulu, Hawaii. His story was unique from the very beginning. His father, Barack Obama Sr., came from Kenya. His mother, Ann Dunham, came from Kansas. At the time, their interracial marriage was uncommon in America. But the marriage didn't last. When Barack was still a young child, his father left the family and eventually returned to Kenya. For years, Obama barely knew him. Growing up without his father created questions that stayed with him throughout his youth. Who was he? Why did he leave? And what part of him came from this mysterious man thousands of miles away? These questions would shape much of Obama's identity. After the divorce, Obama's mother married an Indonesian man named Lolo Sitoro. The family moved to Indonesia. For a young American boy, everything changed. The language, the culture, the food, the people, the environment. Obama witnessed poverty firsthand. He saw families struggling to survive, children with very little, communities facing enormous challenges. These experiences gave him a broader perspective on the world. Years later, he would often talk about understanding different cultures and seeing life through other people's eyes. Many of those lessons began in Indonesia. At the age of 10, Obama returned to Hawaii and lived with his grandparents. They worked hard to provide opportunities for him. He attended a prestigious private school. But despite being surrounded by successful students, Obama often felt like an outsider. He was one of the few black students. He struggled with questions about race and identity. Like many teenagers, he searched for acceptance. He later admitted making mistakes and going through difficult periods while trying to understand where he belonged. But eventually, he found direction through education. Books became his escape. History became his passion. And politics slowly began to capture his attention. Obama attended college in Los Angeles before transferring to Columbia University. Living in New York changed him. The city was competitive and unforgiving. Nobody cared about your background, only your determination. Obama spent countless hours studying politics, economics, philosophy, and history. He wasn't simply looking for a career. He was looking for purpose. And that purpose would eventually lead him to Chicago. After graduation, Obama moved to Chicago. Instead of pursuing a high-paying corporate job, he became a community organizer. The salary was low. The hours were long. The challenges were enormous. He worked with struggling communities affected by unemployment and poverty. He listened to people's concerns. He helped organize meetings. He worked to improve neighborhoods. Most importantly, he learned that leadership wasn't about giving speeches. It was about listening. This period transformed him. For the first time, he saw how government decisions affected ordinary families. And he became convinced that public service was his calling. Wanting to make a bigger impact, Obama enrolled at Harvard Law School. The competition was intense. Students from around the world were competing to become future leaders. Yet Obama stood out. In 1990, he became the first black president of the Harvard Law Review. It was a historic achievement. National media took notice. Political leaders took notice. America was beginning to notice. A future star had emerged. While working at a law firm, Obama met Michelle Obama. She was intelligent, ambitious, and determined. At first, she wasn't impressed by him. But over time, their connection grew. They shared similar values. Both believed in service. Both believed in community. Both wanted to make a difference. They eventually married and built a family together. Little did they know they were beginning a journey that would place them in the global spotlight. Obama entered politics by running for the Illinois State Senate. He focused on education, healthcare, ethics reform, and community issues. His speaking ability quickly became one of his greatest strengths. People listened when he spoke, not because he shouted, but because he connected. He had a talent for making complex issues understandable. And his political reputation continued to grow. In 2000, Obama ran for Congress. He lost. It was a painful defeat. Many politicians would have quit. Many would have disappeared from public life. But Obama stayed. He learned from the loss, improved his strategy, and prepared for another opportunity. That opportunity arrived in 2004, and it changed everything. At the 2004 Democratic National Convention, Obama delivered a speech that instantly transformed him into a national figure.
Millions watched. Millions listened.
His message was simple. America wasn't divided into red states and blue states. It was the United States of America. The speech electrified the country. Overnight, Obama became one of the most talked about politicians in America. Soon afterward, he won a seat in the U.S. Senate. A new political star had arrived. In 2007, Obama announced something many considered impossible. He would run for president. Most experts thought he had no chance. His opponent for the Democratic nomination was Hillary Clinton. She was experienced, well-known, and heavily favored. But Obama inspired something powerful: hope. His campaign attracted millions of supporters. Young voters, independent voters, first-time voters, people who believed America was ready for change. Against all expectations, Obama won the Democratic nomination. Then came the general election against John McCain. The nation was facing a severe financial crisis. Banks were collapsing. The economy was struggling. Americans were worried about the future. And in November 2008, history was made. Barack Obama became the first African-American president of the United States. Obama entered office during one of the worst economic crises since the Great Depression. Millions had lost jobs. Businesses were closing. Financial markets were unstable. His administration introduced economic recovery programs designed to stimulate growth. The goal was simple: prevent a complete economic collapse. The recovery wasn't immediate, and critics argued about whether the policies were effective. But over time, the economy stabilized and employment numbers improved. It became one of the defining challenges of his presidency. One of Obama's biggest goals was healthcare reform. Millions of Americans lacked health insurance. Obama pushed for legislation that became known as the Affordable Care Act, often called Obamacare. Supporters argued it expanded healthcare access. Critics argued it increased government involvement. The debate was intense. But despite opposition, the law passed. It remains one of the most significant domestic policy achievements of his presidency. In 2011, Obama faced one of the most important decisions of his presidency. American intelligence agencies had located the suspected hideout of Osama bin Laden. The operation was risky. Failure could have been catastrophic. Obama authorized the mission. U.S. forces carried out the raid. Bin Laden was killed. The announcement became one of the most dramatic moments of Obama's presidency. For many Americans, it represented justice after the September 11th attacks. Obama's presidency involved numerous international challenges: the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, relations with China, tensions with Russia, counterterrorism operations, the rise of ISIS, nuclear negotiations with Iran. Every decision carried global consequences. Supporters praised his diplomatic approach. Critics believed some policies were too cautious. Foreign policy remained one of the most debated aspects of his presidency. During Obama's years in office, America experienced significant social changes. Discussions about race intensified. Technology transformed communication. Social media became increasingly influential. The country also witnessed the legalization of same-sex marriage nationwide during his presidency. Obama often spoke about inclusion, equality, and opportunity. For supporters, he represented progress. For critics, he represented change that moved too quickly. In 2009, Obama received the Nobel Peace Prize. The decision generated worldwide discussion. Supporters praised his efforts toward diplomacy and international cooperation. Critics argued the award came too early in his presidency. Regardless of opinion, the award further increased his global profile. In 2012, Obama faced another major test. Would Americans give him a second term? His opponent was Mitt Romney. The campaign was intense. The debates were closely watched. The economy had improved compared to 2008, but challenges remained. When Election Day arrived, Obama won re-election. He would serve 4 more years in the White House. During his second term, Obama continued focusing on healthcare, climate policy, economic growth, and international diplomacy. His administration supported climate initiatives and international agreements aimed at reducing emissions. He also worked to improve relations with countries that had long-standing tensions with the United States. Some initiatives succeeded. Others faced resistance. But Obama remained one of the most recognizable leaders in the world. In January 2017, Obama's presidency came to an end. After 8 years in office, he left the White House. His farewell speech reflected on democracy, citizenship, and public service. For many supporters, it marked the end of a historic era. For critics, it marked the beginning of a new political chapter. But regardless of political views, Obama's place in history was secure. From a boy searching for his identity, to a community organizer in Chicago, to a law student making history at Harvard, to a senator captivating America with a single speech, to the first African-American president of the United States, Barack Obama's journey remains one of the most extraordinary political stories ever told. He inspired millions, faced enormous challenges, made controversial decisions, achieved historic milestones, and left behind a legacy that continues to influence America and the world. Whether people agree with his policies or not, one fact remains undeniable. Barack Obama proved that sometimes the most unlikely journey can lead to the highest office in the land. And that's what makes his story unforgettable.